Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now. Now. So since Parliament's monsoon session has started, so there are a lot of things from PIB itself. So this entire document is from PIB. Okay, because in Parliament what is happening? There they usually ask questions. So there are parliamentary questions like how have you done in your space? How is the space economy growing because of government reforms or anything? So they try to get this data out of the government, and that's why a lot of things comes in PIB also. Okay, so for the few weeks while we have monsoon sessions, you will find that there are a lot of articles in PIB that are important in all subjects. Now, this is the first one, Vikram 1, charting India's cosmic future. Okay, this is a very long, this is a PIB backgrounder. So sometimes when there are so many things, they release PIB backgrounder telling all about that particular sector. So this is what they have done for space sector in this. Now, so basically, the whole point is in India, we came up with New India Space Policy in 2023, which opened the space sector for the private participation. Before that, it used to be just ISRO and doing its thing. Okay, now after 2023, it has been open to private participation, and that's why we have seen many different startups and organizations coming up in this space sector. Now, if you want to see in 2014 there is one startup, one space startup, and now there are 400 plus. So now why this is in news? So India's space sector is undergoing a historic transformation. Now, the one thing that has happened recently is this. So there is Vikram 1. This is a rocket. So this Vikram 1 rocket has launched on 18th of July. It is carrying many different payloads. Okay, this is India's first private sector made rocket. This is Vikram 1. You will find at many places some different things are mentioned. Like for example, they will tell you that this is one was won by Anikul Cosmos is the first rocket this, first rocket that. Understand, all of them used to be suborbital. Suborbital is what? Basically, it will go in the space and then it will fall back on Earth. It will not go in orbits around the Earth. This is the first time it is going around orbit. That is why this is an first orbital rocket that the private sector has launched. ISRO has of course launched many over the years. So now, so India's as Skyroot Aerospace, this is the company, prepares to launch Vikram 1, India's first privately developed orbital rocket. Okay, a very good wrong statement can be made here that this is India's first privately developed rocket. Wrong. There are many rockets that we have made, but those were suborbital. This is the first orbital rocket made by the private sector. Now, so it mentions the India's Space Policy 2023 has opened the entire space value chain to private participation. We talked about this. So before 2023, all was ISRO. Now, post 2023, all these startups and everyone is allowed to participate in the space economy. Now, they have been allowed in almost every part of space sector, that is satellite manufacturing, launch services, space applications, downstream services, everywhere at each step. Then now, many data are given here. You just remember one of these data that you can quote in means. So basically, India's space economy's aim is $100 billion by 2040. It has grown almost tenfold in last 10 years. Sorry, almost fivefold in last 10 years. This is the aim, $100 billion by 2040. Okay. Then next, now we come to this mission Agman, which is Vikram 1. Now see. So Vikram 1 is what? Vikram 1 is that rocket that will be carrying all these payloads, the first privately made orbital rocket. Now the whole mission of this rocket going in space, then dropping those payloads or satellites in the orbit, all that is called mission Agman. Okay, mission Agman. Agman means what? Agman means start something. Okay, some coming up of something. Okay, so now mission Agman. So Vikram 1 developed by Skyroot Airspace is India's first privately developed orbital launch vehicle. This is clear. Capable of placing now 350 kg into 350 kg into low Earth orbit. Okay, low Earth orbit means less than 1000 or 2000 kilometers. So closer one they have made. Now it is built with all carbon composite structure, reliable solid fuel boosters and a 3D printed liquid engine. Then Vikram 1 is scheduled to launch under mission Agman between 12th of July and 4th of August. So the date has been done. So on 18th of July it lifted off. Okay, then now see one thing, it says the mission will deploy multiple customer payloads. So this is a rocket, this is not a satellite. Private satellites have been sent from many years. This is a rocket. So now rocket will contain many satellites that it will drop on those orbits, correct? So as to revolve. Rocket is just a carrier, correct? Now if you see, it is carrying many different multiple customer payloads into the LEO, okay, of 450 kilometers. These include Skyroot's Scope, D-Cubed, Graha Space, Solar S3. All these names you may not remember, that's fine. Just remember this is the Vikram 1, first India's privately owned orbital rocket, and it has sent many payloads from the private sector to the space. Then also they have sent two symbolic payloads called Cosmic Bloom and micro rockets, like small C.V. Raman and Vikram Sarabhai. These are two very important people for our space sector. So a grain sized like imagery of them they have made, imagery or statue, whatever you want to call. So that also they have sent in space. Then after this it talks about India's space policy and everything that has been done. Now see this. So this is the government notified India's space policy 2023, allowing non-government entities NGEs to take part across entire space value chain. This also encourages international collaborations. Okay, space policy in detail, what are the objectives of it, all that we'll see in the regular classes. Then from this policy itself came this, which is called InSpace. InSpace is what? InSpace is the regulator. See, whenever private sector's participation is allowed in any sector, now you cannot leave it to the parent entity. For example, if you have, let's say you had roadways and the government used to run all the buses. Now, if you allow private sector also to run the buses, but if entire control is by the government will only promote its own buses, correct? Because they are also maintaining a profit and loss, correct? Every Raj Parivahan or whatever you call it. So that will not create fair competition. That is why whenever private sector competition is allowed, we also develop a independent regulator that will regulate everyone now. So now here also, with the advent of the private sector participation, we came up with an independent regulator. Earlier everything was ISRO. ISRO was making it, ISRO was managing it, ISRO had all the administration. Now InSpace had to be introduced. So the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center is acting as an autonomous single window agency to authorize and promote space activities by government entities and non-government entities. So this does many things, like it will provide, first of all, a regulatory framework. It will also provide technology transfer from ISRO to non-governmental entities. Even if you want to use ISRO facilities, so they have made this as a proper process that has to be followed, and you get permission from ISRO. So InSpace will be regulating that also, so that you can use ISRO facilities. Then some more data is given that you may or may not remember, it's fine. So basically it has registered over 4,500 organizations. It has facilitated over 150 million investment in India's space startups, all this. Then now, so this is what government has done. This is the next part. So this is the start 2023 new India's space policy. From here InSpace was formed. Then we liberated FDI policy also, at what foreign entities or foreign investments we will be taking in space sector, that was liberalized. Then some more things like venture capital fund, all that was made. This is the recent one, this is establishment of 500 crore adoption fund. So all these are steps that we'll see in detail. Now, catalyzing private investment. Okay, even if you just remember name and what are they, that much also is more than enough. So basically InSpace seed fund scheme. Seed fund means what? See, seed fund in terms of startups is basically like you need a seed to grow a tree. So to make up a startup, you need seed fund. That is the starting or initial fund. Okay, so now this scheme provides early stage financial assistance, offer grants up to 1 crore to eligible applicants. It will also provide mentoring, training, all that. If you just remember this InSpace seed fund scheme, you will understand what is it. Then 1,000 crore venture capital. What is venture capital? This is about giving grant so that things can be started. Venture capital is about investing the initial money. You will be getting return, but initially if you are investing money, it is more risky. So more people are not able, or more companies are not willing to invest that much money. So here again government is helping here. This is the 1,000 crore venture capital fund. Then you have 500 crore technology adoption fund. So this fund aims to accelerate the deployment of indigenous space technologies developed by NGEs. So once NGEs develop some technologies for their proliferation, this is the technology adoption fund. Then some details are given. For example, for startups 40% of the project cost, for large companies for startups it's 60%, for large companies, this is large projects, this is 40%, and the cap is around for 25 crore per project. It's fine. Now it also talks about NSIL. This is another entity that we study about in space policy. So basically this is the Indian Space Policy 2023 defined the role of New Space India Limited. So NSIL, now let's say ISRO developed some technology. Okay, now earlier what used to happen, that if ISRO is sending a rocket, okay, now if they have some space left, they would ask the private sector that do you have any satellites that you have to send. Earlier it used to be almost always in waiting. So people have their satellites prepared, but they don't have a system to launch it. Then they used to depend on other countries. Okay, all this used to happen. Now NSIL is actually to ensure market demand based launches. That if there is enough demand in the market, then we should be launching using a rocket. Now for this, what they need, so basically NSIL deals in all the ways like a commercial entity would. So commercial entity will do what? They will do what? For example, they will, let's say, buy some of the times some rockets, and on that they will get payloads from different countries, from other companies and everything. They will place it and they will drop it there. Okay, in return what they will be getting? They will be getting money. Just like you have like you have certain private companies that buys buses, correct, and then those buses are run around the country and people sit there and they give money to it. Eventually that company makes profit out of those margins. So similar will be done by NSIL. Of course, this is space sector. So here the involvement of ISRO is also there. So that is why this is called ISRO's commercial arm. NSIL manufactures and procures space systems on commercial principles. Simple commercial principles, that I am buying at this cost, I will be giving at rent at this cost, I will be selling at this cost to gain profits. Then it also delivers end-to-end space solutions to both government entities and NGEs. Further, it has expanded private participation and all. Fine. Commercial arm of ISRO. This you try to remember. This is NSIL. Now, NSIL has also grown a lot in last 10 years. Okay, sorry, last few years since it is formed. Tenfold increase in revenue it has seen. Then, now see, this is the liberalized FDI policy for space. FDI, you know, economy, huh? Economy classes you have it. Foreign direct investment. What is this? So basically, foreign entities investing in certain sectors or companies in India, that is called FDI. Now, FDI used to be very regulated in India, that because we had just become independent, correct? After that also we had trauma of colonization. So that's why we didn't allow foreign entities to invest a lot in India. That used to be the norm. Then slowly we opened it up. With the advent of this government from 2014, we are opening up more and more sectors for FDI. Okay, now here if you see, you don't need to remember all the details. Now what they have done is basically for satellite manufacturing operations, almost for every case, the sectoral cap has been made 100%. So FDI can be 100%. The routes differ. For example, here 74% is by automatic route. What is automatic route? Basically where you don't need an approval. Okay, so one company, other company, they can talk and they can do the transaction. Beyond 74%, you need to get approval of the government. Similarly, here 49% and 49% can come from government route. And here 100% is automatic. So if you want to remember anything, these usual figures of 74 and beyond 74, 49, beyond 49, this sectoral cap is now 100% for all of them. It used to be not this. Okay, it used to be restricted that foreign entities, for example, can invest only till 49%. Other than that, investment must come from India. No such sectoral cap is there right now. So this also this government has done. Then from policy to progress. Now this is actually very dense. Okay, so this is factually very dense page. Okay, but it is important. We have already seen one question on it. Okay, it required some more things, so I have not put it. Now all these are small one-liners. Okay, we'll see them and you try to remember them. Okay, it may seem that I have highlighted a lot, but these are all important. Now see, NSIL. So NSIL, so what UPSC has started doing more and more right now from last 2-3 years, they are asking every year, they are asking questions like the first one to do it, the largest, the smallest. So all these used to be very common in state exams. Now UPSC has also started doing this. This year also they said that the one that we learned about, Vikram 1, is the first privately made orbital rocket. That was one of the statements. Okay, so now first, all these are important. So NSIL strengthened India's commercial launch capabilities by executing India's first dedicated commercial LVM launch vehicle Mark III. This is made by ISRO only. In October 2022, launching 36 OneWeb satellites. OneWeb is a foreign company. For that, what they did, they took LVM3 or they bought LVM3 satellite launch vehicles from ISRO, and using that, they launched OneWeb satellites. That is a foreign entity. For them, it launched satellites. Now, of course, it must have gained some money out of it. This was the first one that they did with OneWeb satellites. After that, many such missions have been taken place. Now, before Vikram 1, there was Vikram S. Now, Vikram S, launched under Mission Prarambh in November 2022, was India's first privately developed rocket. Correct? What is the difference between Vikram 1 and Vikram S? Both are private by same company. suborbital. So these were suborbital. This is the, so if anyone tells you that Vikram S is the first privately developed rocket, yes. Is it the first privately developed orbital rocket? No, it didn't go to orbit. This was suborbital by the same company. Now, Anikul Cosmos. This was again one of the statements that this is the world's first single piece 3D printed rocket, semi cryogenic rocket. Okay. Now, this was, now see, Anikul Cosmos became the first NGE to launch a rocket from India's first private launch pad, Dhanush. So Dhanush also you remember, this is, so Sriharikota is the same place, but there are many launch stations there. So one of them is privately owned called Dhanush. Okay, so this is Anikul Cosmos, again suborbital in nature. Then now next thing, yeah, InSpace approved a public-private partnership for Earth observation satellite constellation led by Pixel with Dhruva Space. Now, this is what constellation. Constellation is what? Many satellites sent together. Okay, like you might have heard of Starlink. Starlink is collection of a few thousand of satellites. Similar is this, that we have sent. This is the Earth observation constellation led by Pixel with Dhruva Space. Again, a private sector company in India. Then this is to strengthen. Now, if from the name itself you can understand this is for Earth observation. So it will have applications in agriculture, disaster management, all this. Then in February 2026, InSpace facilitated 511 crore 10-year transfer of SSLV technology to HAL. Now, understand this also. This is small satellite launch vehicle. Small satellite launch vehicles. Now, small satellite launch vehicles are very important. Why? Because they can be made at a very cheap cost and they can be sent again, like they can be sent very frequently into the space. Because a large rocket you have to wait for a long time, correct? It has much more complex mechanisms and you have to wait so that entire payload is there and then you can send it. This is for small missions. This is called SSLV. Okay, the recent one only. And now ISRO has, InSpace has facilitated the transfer of technology to HAL so that SSLV can be proliferated more. Now, enabling is industry-led production and launch services. Then last is Bellatrix Aerospace. This has demonstrated indigenous green propulsion system. Green propulsion system means basically using sustainable fuel instead of the ones that we usually use. Okay, this came under, this was developed by DRDO. Then next, the road ahead. Now it's fine. The journey from ISRO-led missions to a thriving space ecosystem demonstrates the success of the government's reform agenda. This is something that you can conclude your answer with. So basically, in last few years, we have shown a lot of progress in space. So India is well positioned to emerge as a leading global space power and key driver for future space economy. You can take it till here also. So India is well positioned to emerge as a leading global space power, provided the reforms that government has taken are properly implemented. Because usually the question is everything, na? So it will talk about the concerns, the challenges, the opportunities, everything. So just connect it here and that will be your conclusion. Okay, so this actually PIB backgrounder covered all these PIB documents. Okay, whatever was important. Even after this, you will see many PIB documents that I won't be, of course, taking up again, which is around this only. One of them they will pick, like for in space they will publish one article. Okay, when the, let's say, the minister visits the facility, then they will publish an article. So all those are done. Now we come to the next thing, which is a parliament question, progress of Inspire program. So Inspire is actually a scholarship given by the government of India to promote scientific temper and research in India. It starts right from the small age school going students to the faculties in institutions. The entire chain we have to promote. This is Inspire Awards. Now see this. So what it says, over the last 5 years, the innovation in science pursuit for inspired research. Okay, they just wanted to make inspire, so they have put some words. Okay, full form you need not remember, but you must remember this because it has been asked in the parliament, and recently in last 2 years, every year they have given one award that this award is related to. Okay, so not as simple as that, some details of it. So this is Inspire Awards. Now this is by Department of Science and Technology, of course, has systematically nurtured scientific talent at different stages of academic and research pipeline through its 4 major components. These 4 major components we have to understand. Now see, so basically they have written this here. I have done everything in a table. Okay, so this table, if you can remember, it's fine. This table originally had data of other years, not so important. Basically, if you just remember that in 25-26, not the data, but how it is structured. Like if you see here, so how it is moving, it is starting for a small child and going up to faculty fellowship level. If you see the number of people given this scholarship, it will of course decrease because you have much wider audience. When you talk about school going children, then faculties at institutions. So it will have a decreasing graph like this. Fine, that much only is enough. Now let's see each of them. So there is Inspire Manak. Now this is for 10 to 17 years, classes 6 to 12th. Okay, this is given for school students, some small amount of scholarship so that scientific temper and all is promoted in them. Then you have Inspired She. What is the She? So basically this is, don't get confused. If UPSC wants to make a wrong statement, they will connect this She with women. Okay, it is not connected to women. This is scholarship for higher education. This is for higher education people. Now, so higher education, so this is 17 to 22 years, 12,000 scholarships are given of 80,000 each per annum. Then next is Inspire Fellowship. Now fellowship is something, word that is used usually for somebody who is pursuing PhD, okay, all this. So what they are doing in Inspire Fellowship, what happens, the best of the best students, they don't usually go for PhD, they immediately get a job and they start doing it. Now you want the best talent of your country to be more involved in the scientific developments. That's why you have Inspire Fellowship, which encourages outstanding graduates to pursue PhD. So they are giving them some grant amount like 37,000 and all that. Then last is Inspired Faculty Fellowship. This is given for 27 to 32 years only. So not like for every faculty, this is for the young researchers. So basically 27 to 32 years, this is postdoctoral research. Postdoctoral means what? He's already done his PhD after that. So this is given as 1.25 lakhs per month. That is the up to range. Of course, it is not like they just disperse the money. You have to show the where you are going to spend this money. So basically that has to be passed. Now, so these are the 4 names. This is what it is given for. Then other than that, all this is just government telling that we are doing very good. Okay, so collectively these interventions have strengthened the scientific temper and culture of inquiry, all this. Okay, then next you come to CDSCO approves India's first dengue vaccine. Okay, dengue, you know, it's a disease caused by mosquito bites. Okay, now, so dengue is a virus. Dengue is a virus. The mosquito that you know of, mosquito is what? It's a vector that is carrying that virus, correct? From one person to another, or from any place that is infected, from there to a particular person. So this is CDSCO. This is the organization that approves vaccines in India. Now, CDSCO clears recombinant live attenuated dengue vaccine for prevention of dengue in individuals 4 to 60 years. Now, see, there are many terms here. Now, this also you see, so basically this is already approved in 42 countries. WHO pre-qualification has also been granted to this. Of course, we have not developed this vaccine. Okay, India has approved it recently to be administered in India. Okay, this is developed by Germany. Then, and strong global safety record. Now, see. First you see this, what is this vaccine? So basically this is CDSCO under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has granted marketing authorization for dengue tetravalent vaccine Qdenga manufactured by Takeda GmbH Germany. Okay, so this name, what is this company, that you should remember. The detail of what is that vaccine, how it is working, that is in this paragraph again. So that we'll see. Now, understand each word of it. Okay, see, Qdenga is a live attenuated tetravalent dengue vaccine. Now, first, what is live? Live here means what? That the virus that you are taking is not dead. So what you do, you weaken the virus and you inject it in a person. Now what happens? Because that is very weak virus, it cannot cause the disease, but it can cause an immune response. So what will happen? When you inject it, okay, now you won't get the disease, but your immune system will generate a response against that particular virus, and your immune system will take a part of that virus and will try to remember that virus. In case in future when you go in the real world and you get bitten by that mosquito, now your immune system is already ready to deal with that particular virus. This is the core of vaccine, that you try to get the immune response in the safe way, so that when the real infection comes, immune system is ready. Correct? So that is why it is written live. Correct? Then attenuated tetravalent, so LAV, live attenuated. Then tetravalent, why tetravalent? Because this deals with 4 different kinds of or different variants of viruses. Those are very easy names: Den 1, 2, 3, 4. Dengue virus 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is why tetravalent dengue vaccine. Now, this is developed using recombinant DNA technology. What is recombinant DNA technology? So basically they take genes from here, there, and they combine it together. That is recombining DNA. This is called recombinant DNA technology. Now, what they're actually doing, understand that. See, so this vaccine is produced in Vero cells. Vero cells is what? So basically, virus do not have its own structure. So you cannot really grow virus like bacteria or some other microorganism. How you can grow bacteria or some other microorganism? In a simple petri dish, you can just leave it, provided environment, it will just reproduce and make more bacteria. But virus do not have it. Correct? Virus do not have a mechanism or a body to them. So that is why you need Vero cells. Okay, this is lab made cells, and this becomes a place where more and more viruses generated, because that you want more viruses, and then you will weaken it eventually and then administer it. So this is called Vero cells. Now, how it works? So this is actually based on, so there are 4 kinds of dengue viruses. So this particular vaccine is based on Den2 backbone. So basically they have studied that how does this dengue virus number 2 works, and that structure they have taken, that is the backbone. But you also have to protect from other variants, correct? So then they have taken all those important parts of Den 1, 3 and 4 and inserted it here. This is the backbone, this is the main one. This causes most of the dengue virus diseases. Now, other 3, the main components of them, they have inserted here. Now, what is this? This is recombinant, because you are taking DNA from other parts and combining here. Now, after this, because you are combining it from other places, that is why this is called genetically modified organism. After this, you will weaken this GMO, genetically modified organism, to make live attenuated vaccine that I will administer. Understood the flow? Now how it is delivered? So it is delivered or supplied as a freeze-dried powder for reconstitution and is administered at subcutaneous injection. Now, what are these 2 terms? So basically, freeze-dry powder means what? When I have to administer the vaccine, what I will do? I will have a powder, and from that powder I will mix it in, let's say, water or any liquid, and I will make vials, and then I will administer. Where I will administer? So this is subcutaneous injection, means in the inside layer of the skin. Okay, that is the whole Qdenga thing. Understood? Now, when it has to be administered? So 4 to 60 years of age, and it is given in 2 doses of 0.5 ml each. Okay. Then, now this is expected to, of course, complement the ongoing vector control, surveillance, early diagnosis and case management measures being implemented under National Vector-Borne Control Program. Correct? National Vector-Borne Program is for all these diseases that are caused by mosquitoes or other kinds of vectors. Then, last we come to India's fight to combat hepatitis. Hepatitis we'll study in detail. when we do the regular classes. Now, understand this. First, just basic understanding you need, that is what is hepatitis. See, itis, this is called inflammation. You might have heard of meningitis, you might have heard of encephalitis, correct? So basically itis means inflammation. Inflammation means something red, it has, let's say, swollen, that is inflammation. Any kind of hurt that is caused in that particular organ. So hep stands for liver here, so liver inflammation. Something wrong is happening with the liver, that is called as hepatitis. Now, hepatitis has many causes, okay? Hepatitis has many causes. The one of the most important one is because of virus that we study about. Hepatitis can also be caused in other ways. For example, there is a term called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Okay, so why that is caused? You are not having alcohol or anything, but because of the sugary substances that you keep having, that can cause non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Okay, that can lead to hepatitis. So there are other reasons also. Sometimes autoimmune diseases are also there, but most of them are caused by viruses. Now, see this. This is the table. These are the 5 kinds of hepatitis. Okay, now see, there is hepatitis A and hepatitis E. These two come from fecal oral route. Fecal oral route means what? Basically, by drinking something or because of the excreta. From these it is spread. Now, how do you prevent this? You will maintain sanitation, you will have clean water, correct? So all these are ways of preventing it. Safe drinking water, hygiene, sanitation measures, all this. This is usually self-limiting and only supportive care is needed. Okay, this is not chronic in nature, this is acute. Okay, so basically this can spread a lot, but once it is gone from your body, it is gone. Chronic diseases are, even when you have overcome them, it is still present in your body and it can anytime come back. Okay, so this is acute. Same is hepatitis E also, correct? Fecal-oral route and everything. Then let's see that also. Hepatitis E, fecal-oral route. Same thing, safe drinking water, hygiene, usually self-limiting, supportive care, correct? A and E are similar. Now we have to see B, C and D. Now B1, B, C and D, these are all caused by, spread by blood or body fluids. Now, when I say blood or body fluids, that means it can spread from mother to the child also, correct? Because they are connected. Also, it can spread from syringes or from some equipments, that is transferring blood from one person to another, correct? So, blood or bodily fluids. Now, all 3 of them. Now, so one more thing you have to remember is hepatitis B has a particular vaccine and hepatitis A also has a vaccine. Hepatitis B vaccine is very important. In fact, it is under universal immunization program of the government, and they have many mechanisms in which they will keep on checking that every child is administered this, because hepatitis B vaccine is very important to protect from hepatitis D also. Hepatitis D does not have a separate vaccine, but see, it is written that infection hepatitis D can be caused only amongst those with chronic hepatitis B virus carriers. So only if you are having hepatitis B, then only you can get hepatitis D, otherwise not. Vice versa is not true. If there is hepatitis B, there is chance for hepatitis D. So that is why if you take vaccines for hepatitis B, you are saved from both of them. That is why government is so much focused on it. Then hepatitis C does not have a vaccine, and it is very harsh also, okay, and it does not have any vaccine. Fine. So A, E, fecal-oral route, and A has a vaccine also. You understand? See, That is why you have to remember how they are caused. Then you can understand how they will be prevented all, correct? Fecal-oral route, that means safe water, contamination you remove, sanitation, all that. Then B, C, D are caused by blood and bodily fluids. So then you can think of syringes from mother to the child, okay, from different ways, correct? So all those are possible. Now B has a vaccine that protects you from D also, because D always needs B to be there first, correct? C does not have a vaccine and it is very fatal. Fine. Now this is the main thing. Now government has taken many steps, okay? So hepatitis A and E are usually acute symptomatic, outbreak prone, while hepatitis B, C, D are chronic in nature. That is, once they are in your body, they remain for a very long time, okay? Then, so government keeps on testing that what is the seroprevalence, that is what percentage of population is having hepatitis B or any kind of hepatitis. Then these are all the steps. So what has been seen, that any person that has AIDS or tuberculosis, they have better or more, not better, they have more chances of getting hepatitis also, correct? So all those different mechanisms of monitoring these people keeps on going. They have a toll-free number and all. Yeah, this reflects the spirit of Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. Fine, let's do questions quickly and we'll be done. Yeah. A. Why A? Why is third wrong? It wasn't mentioned. Yeah, you're feeling correct. So basically what we had learned, it is administered subcutaneous, that is on the skin, if you remember. Orally means what? This is oral polio vaccine. Muh kholo, dal diya. That is oral. This was not an oral vaccine. So this is wrong. Other two are correct. Answer becomes A. Then do this. What is the answer? Second is wrong. Why second is wrong? Because this was for higher education. 10 to 17 कौन higher education कर रहा है? Correct. So second is wrong. First and third are absolutely correct. Answer becomes A, 1 and 3. Then correct. Third is wrong. Why? Because hepatitis C does not have a vaccine. These two are correct. Read it carefully. What do you think? What is Vikram 1? See, this is correct. This is also correct. It is a rocket. It is not a satellite. if you're equating them, that is like equating bus and me. I am a passenger, bus is a carrier, rocket is a carrier, satellite is a passenger. So this is not a satellite, this is the rocket. That's why first is wrong. Okay, so answer becomes C, 2 and 3. That's it. Thank you.